as John Wayne ambled by a bustling art stall on a crowded urban pavement. Most folks hardly gave him a second glance, just another figure blending into the throng. But when he paused, lifted a canvas, and gave his full attention to the young woman behind the stand, the atmosphere shifted. This wasn't just any painter. Emily Harper was creating art to fund her survival, battling more than just obscurity. What unfolded next was a moment etched in memory, because, in classic John Wayne fashion, he didn't merely purchase a piece. He transformed her destiny. The hospital room was stark, its fluorescent bulbs humming faintly, casting a cold sheen across the white walls. The sharp scent of disinfectant lingered, mingling with the distant beeps of machines in the adjacent room. Emily Harper perched on the stiff hospital bed, her hands balled into fists on her lap. Opposite her, Dr. Sharma adjusted his glasses, his face composed but guarded. Emily braced herself. She recognized that tone, soft, measured, the kind doctors use to cushion bad news. "The treatment's showing progress," he said, a flicker of optimism in his voice. "But you'll need at least 2 more chemotherapy sessions." Emily barely reacted. She was no stranger to the grueling cycle of pain, nausea, and fatigue. But his next words hit harder. "I know your family's struggling financially. Without insurance for the next phase, the out-of-pocket costs will be," he paused, exhaling heavily, "significant." Beside her, Emily's mother let out a trembling breath. Emily didn't need to see her face to know tears were near. The medical bills had already bled them dry. Their savings vanished, the last treatment pushing them to the brink. For the first time in ages, fear gripped Emily, not of death, but of watching her parents lose everything to keep her alive. The ride home was quiet. Her mother's knuckles whitened as she clutched the steering wheel. Her father's assurances that "it'll be fine" sounded hollow, and Emily heard the strain in his voice. That night, staring at the ceiling, her heart raced. She refused to be a burden, to let her parents drown in debt for her sake. Then it struck her: art. It had always been her refuge, her passion. If she could create something meaningful, something people would buy, she could fight back in her own way. By dawn, Emily had resolved not to wait for a miracle. She'd forge one herself. The first brushstroke always felt like a spell. The brush danced across the canvas, leaving trails of soft blues and vibrant oranges, colors merging to birth something vivid, something alive. Emily sat on a folding stool at her art stall on a lively downtown sidewalk. The small wooden table before her displayed her canvases, each one a fragment of her spirit. Her mother had helped set up the stall that morning, but the rest was Emily's burden. This was her plan, born from a week of pouring every drop of strength into her paintings. This wasn't just art, it was survival. If she could sell enough, if people saw worth in her work, maybe she could afford the treatment to save her life. But hope was delicate. Passers-by streamed past. Some glanced her way, others ignored her. A woman in a navy blazer paused briefly, admiring a canvas, then shook her head and moved on. A man in a sharp suit read her handwritten sign, "Original art, funding my cancer treatment," his lips tightening before he turned away. Emily exhaled, gripping the table's edge to steady herself. The afternoon heat weighed on her, dizziness creeping in. Hours passed without a sale. She sipped water, her hands shaky, her body reminding her of the battle within. Quitting wasn't an option. She forced a smile as an elderly couple approached. The woman's eyes sparkled as she touched a canvas, a desert sky in deep purples and golden streaks, a piece Emily had poured her heart into. "How much for this one?" she asked. Emily swallowed. $80. The couple exchanged a nod. "We'll take it." Emily froze, the moment surreal. As she packed the painting and took the cash, A spark ignited within her. Her first sale, her first triumph. The couple left, and Emily clung to that $80 and the renewed fire it brought. She was just one girl on a street corner, but she was fighting, and she wasn't finished. The city pulsed with life. Street musicians strummed guitars, their tunes weaving into the hum of traffic. Tourists snapped photos of murals on weathered brick walls, while executives, eyes glued to phones, brushed past. Emily sat at her modest table, hands on her knees, watching the world swirl around her. Surrounded by so many, she felt unseen. She'd sold one painting so far, one. Each glance her way sparked hope. Maybe this person would stop, see her art, see her, not as a charity case, but as an artist. Most didn't. Some slowed, eyes skimming her canvases, then moved on. Others barely noticed. Then there were those who stopped, but offered only pity. A woman in a floral dress sighed, reading Emily's sign. "Oh, honey," she said, voice heavy. "I wish I could help, but I don't have the money." Emily smiled politely. "That's okay. Thanks for stopping." The woman lingered, her gaze weighty. "You poor thing. You must be so brave." That word, brave, stung. Emily wasn't brave. She was desperate, exhausted. Still, she nodded, let the woman's words wash over her, and watched her leave. Soon after, a man in a leather jacket and sunglasses swaggered up. He scanned her paintings, then scoffed. "Nobody buys real art anymore, kid. Try prints or TikTok commissions." Emily's fists clenched. She swallowed her anger. "I don't need advice," she said firmly. "I just need to fight." He snorted, but left without a fight, vanishing into the crowd. Emily exhaled, refusing to let defeat win. Somewhere in this city, someone would see her. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow. That hope kept her going. By day 4, Emily was drained. Her body ached from the metal stool, her muscles weakened by chemo. The summer heat pressed against her, dizziness flaring. She'd sold 3 paintings total, far from enough. Doubt crept in. Maybe the leather jacket guy was right. Maybe no one cared. Then a new face appeared. A journalist, young, with a notebook and press badge. Her eyes lit up at Emily's stall. "This is beautiful," she said, gesturing to a twilight cityscape. "Did you paint these yourself?" Emily nodded, wary. The journalist smiled, pulling out her phone. "I run an arts blog. Mind if I take photos?" Emily hesitated. "Really?" For the next few minutes, the woman photographed the paintings, the stall, the sign. Then she asked, "What's your story?" Emily shared it all, the hospital, the bills, her refusal to let her parents bear the burden alone. The journalist scribbled notes. "People need to hear this," she said. "I'll make sure they do." Emily didn't dwell on it. Promises were cheap. But the next morning, her stall was different. More people stopped, and they bought. A woman purchased 2 paintings. A couple debated which canvas to take. By noon, Emily had sold more than in the past 4 days combined. Her phone buzzed, a link from her friend Noah. She clicked it, fighting for art, fighting for life. The teen painting her way to Chemo. Thousands of shares. Emily's heart raced. This was real, but she didn't yet know her biggest moment was approaching. The afternoon sun stretched shadows across the sidewalk as pedestrians hurried past. Emily wiped sweat from her brow, fighting dizziness. Her body begged for rest, but rest wouldn't pay for treatment. Sales had improved since the blog post, but she was still short. Then, the air changed, a quiet presence, a stillness cutting through the city's chaos. A tall, older man stopped at her stall, hands in the pockets of a worn leather jacket, a cowboy hat shading his face. He studied her paintings with intent, not just browsing. Emily barely noticed at first. She'd seen all types: tourists, skeptics, browsers who left empty-handed. But this man was different. "See anything you like?" she asked, her voice rough from the long day. He smirked faintly. "Depends," he said, his gravelly voice oddly familiar. "What's the story behind these?" Emily paused. Most asked about prices, not stories. She glanced at him, noting his lined face and piercing blue eyes, sharp and unshaken, like they'd seen it all. He felt like a figure from an old Western. "I paint because I have to," she said. "It's all I can control right now." He waited, silent, so she told him. Her diagnosis, the ticking clock, how each brushstroke was a fight for her life. When she finished, he didn't offer pity, just nodded. Then he picked up a painting, a black and white desert landscape, a lone cowboy silhouetted against an endless sky, one of Emily's best. "I'll take this one," he said. Emily blinked, used to the routine. "It's $200. Instead of cash, he pulled out a checkbook. Emily frowned. Checkbooks were rare. He wrote deliberately, tore out the check, and handed it to her. She glanced at it, and her breath stopped. Her vision blurred as she saw the amount. Not $200, but $50,000. Her hands shook. "This," she whispered, "this can't be right." He tilted his hat back, revealing his face fully. Emily's heart froze. John Wayne, the legend, the icon, her dad's hero, the man whose films defined grit, was standing before her, buying her art, changing her life. She stammered, "I can't take this." John's eyes held steady. "It's not charity," he said. "It's a damn good painting." Emily felt the ground vanish. People nearby began to notice, whispers growing. Someone snapped a photo, but Emily only saw John, his quiet understanding, his recognition of her fight. He knew what it meant to battle for something. In this busy street, he'd given her a chance to keep going. For the first time in months, Emily felt hope. And this was only the start. Emily's world spun. She stared at the check, her hands trembling, her mind racing to process the impossible. Not $200, not $2,000, but $50,000. Her breath caught, fingers gripping the paper as if it might vanish. The city's noise, footsteps, car horns, street music, faded to a hum. This couldn't be real. She blinked, expecting the number to change, but there it was, $50,000. Her stomach lurched, her pulse pounding. "This," she whispered, voice breaking, "this has to be a mistake." She looked up at the man, the cowboy in the leather jacket, who'd been casually browsing her work moments ago. Now, in the afternoon light, she saw him clearly. Sharp blue eyes, a familiar smirk, a presence that carried a lifetime of resolve. Her breath hitched. John Wayne, the Hollywood legend, her father's idol, the man whose movies filled her childhood weekends, was here, handing her a check that could rewrite her future. He watched her shock, then smirked. "No mistake, kid," he said, voice low and steady. "Just keep painting." Emily's legs wobbled. She tried to speak. "Thank you." "Why? I don't deserve this." But words failed. Nothing had prepared her for this. And it wasn't over. At first, the city didn't notice, its rhythm unbroken, fast, distracted, oblivious to the moment unfolding. Then a whisper broke through. A teenage boy with earbuds paused, staring at John. "Wait," he muttered, voice rising. "Is that John Wayne?" A woman nearby lowered her phone, squinting between Emily's stall and the man in the cowboy hat. Another whisper, then another, then chaos. People stopped, heads turned, conversations halted. Someone gasped, a phone flashed. The quiet afternoon erupted. Shouts rang out. "It's him. John Wayne, right here. Is he buying a painting?" Phones rose everywhere. College students rushed closer, voices buzzing. A businesswoman in heels stumbled, dragging her assistant back. Then a man who'd ignored Emily's stall earlier returned, eyes wide. He saw John, Emily, the check in her hands, the number. Wait, he bought a painting, he blurted. For $50,000? The crowd exploded, swarming Emily's stall, eyes darting between her and John. Then it happened. Someone grabbed a painting. I'll take this one, a man in a polo shirt shouted, pulling out his wallet. Another hand reached out. How much for this? A woman asked, rifling through canvases. Within minutes, paintings ignored for days were snatched up. No haggling, no questions, just sales. A teenage girl begged her mom for cash. I want one before they're gone. Emily sat, stunned, as her quiet stall became the city's hottest spot. And John, he stood calm, hands in pockets, watching the frenzy. He leaned in, voice low. Told you, kid. Just keep painting. With a tip of his hat, he walked away, leaving Emily in a whirlwind she never imagined. This wasn't the end, it was the beginning. By night, Emily's phone was ablaze, notifications flooding in, pinging relentlessly. At first, she feared something was wrong. Then she saw the headlines. John Wayne buys teens painting for $50,000. You won't believe why. Hollywood icon helps cancer-fighting artist in stunning way. Teen's art stall goes viral after Wayne's visit. Her photo was everywhere, a shot of John at her stall, holding the black and white Western painting, plastered across news sites, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. A video of him handing her the check? Over 3 million views. Emily couldn't breathe. Her friend Noah called. Emily, you're everywhere. I don't know what's happening, she whispered, scrolling through comments. Then messages poured in, not just from strangers, but buyers worldwide. Can you ship to Texas? I'll commission a painting, any price. Your strength inspires us. I want to support you. Hundreds, then thousands of messages, orders, donations, interview requests. Then an email, gallery inquiry. A New York gallery wanted to represent her, to showcase her work. Emily's heart pounded. This was real. She wasn't just selling art. She'd become a symbol of resilience. A month later, Emily entered the hospital for her final treatment, fully paid. Every bill, every debt, every burden lifted. One painting, one moment, one man in a cowboy hat who stopped and believed in her had made it possible. The chemo was brutal, but she wasn't afraid. Beyond the hospital, a future awaited. A week after treatment, a handwritten letter arrived from John Wayne. Emily opened it, hands trembling. Emily, your fight reminds me why some stories matter. Never stop telling yours. John. Tears fell as she pressed the letter to her chest. That night, she picked up a brush. Her first gallery show was set for next month, her inbox flooded with commissions, her career blooming. But one painting would never sell, the black and white Western landscape, now in John Wayne's private collection, a testament that true grit isn't just in Westerns.